There they are, straight ahead, everyone. Wow, this looks interesting. I wonder, it looks like they might be mating. Yeah, look at that. Looks like they're mating, everyone. Now, Tristan did mention this morning that there's a possibility that they might try and mate, judging by their behavior. Oh, wow, look at that. That is fantastic. Now, let's see. He was standing over the female. I wonder if he was mating properly or if he was just testing a little bit. Let's see. We'll spend some time here with them and see what they get up to. I was going to say, it's funny how all these impala are standing around, but they are alarm calling at the lions. But the thing is that with these lions being out in the open like this, they actually don't pose a threat to the impala at the moment, because there's no way that they would be able to stalk and ambush any of these impala. The impala can see them, so as long as they can see them, they'd be comfortable. It's when they don't see them that it's a problem. And those impala are actually quite far away from here. There we go, there the impala, just walking off, but not too fazed by these lions. Now, as I was saying, it's because it's been such a cool day, and that's actually benefited us, because these lions have decided to stay on the airstrip out in the open. There's a bit of sun coming through now, but because it stayed cool all day, they haven't felt the need to move off and lie in the thicket or under a tree. So that we're really fortunate. And what is that? Is that a jackal lying over there? It is indeed. It is indeed two jackal. There we go. Side striped jackal. There's another one moving off to the right, but that one, a lovely view. It's all happening here this afternoon. What a lovely start. Beautiful light. Side striped jackal moving off, and the lions. Now it's interesting, these areas, this Sabi Sand area, for some reason there seem to be a lot more side striped jackal than black-backed. I have seen black-backed jackal here, but not very often. There are a lot more side striped jackal. But then in Kruger, you generally see a lot more black-backed jackal. So it's interesting. Just probably different areas suit the different jackal a little bit better. These side-striped jackal often enjoy open clearings, especially airstrips, because it is so open. They'll lie out and probably have a den site close by. Cheetah. Now, lions will mate. It's actually interesting. A process of mating works like this. A male will find a female and usually try to separate her from the pride, the one that he thinks is in estrus. And he'll try and separate her from the pride. And those two, that pair, will then move off, just like these two have done. They'll move off and spend anywhere between 3 to 5 days, that's an average, 3 to 5 days together to mate. And what happens is the male will then, in the beginning, especially in the beginning, the mating will be very, the mating will be very, very frequent. So in the beginning, it would be maybe once every 10 to 15 minutes, and then as the days move on, so by day 3, day 4 and day 5, the period between each mating session will become a lot longer apart, and then eventually the male will leave the female. But in the beginning, it can be very frequent, every 10 to 15 minutes or so. All depends. The same happens with leopards. They also mate very frequently in the beginning, and then towards the end of that mating period, then they start taking their time, or they start taking longer to mate between each session. But also during the course of the day, like today, if it is a little bit warmer, they won't mate as much, but then in the evenings they'll probably mate a lot more frequently. Brandon, this pride, I think this is a female from the Styx pride, if I'm not mistaken. It's a lioness from the Styx pride, and this male is one of the Birmingham males, the coalition that is dominant in this area. They patrol this whole area, and they are dominant over the two prides that we see a lot, the Nkuhuma pride and the Styx pride, and these males will mate mate with all those females in this area yesterday. But what often happens is there is a dominance hierarchy between the coalition. Even though they're brothers, there is still a dominance hierarchy. And what happens is the one that is slightly more dominant than the others will be able to get to mate with the females first, if he does find them. And the others probably move off, either wait their turn, because occasionally what can happen is males or female will mate with a number of males, not just one. Or they will just go and find other females from the pride and mate with them. So that often happens. Caged, good question. What happens when a plane wants to land on the airstrip? So what happens is all the lodges within these areas have got, you could call them air marshals. They'll come up with the vehicle. It's maybe a guide or somebody that's just employed to do this. They'll come up and they'll drive along the airstrip and make sure that there aren't any animals on the airstrip. And they'll probably just chase them off with the vehicle. They just, if you drive towards most animals, as you've seen, they tend to just move away. So just to try get them off the airstrip for safety, if there are planes coming in. So there is always somebody that comes up to the airstrip about half an hour before the planes actually land, and then they just try to get them off. So I'm going to sit here with these lions for a little bit, see if they do mate again. But while we do that, let's quickly head over to Tristan. I think he's got some tracks he'd like to show you. Well, Tristan, they seem to be matching, but their heads pop up every now and then. So I'm hoping we get a bit of activity from them. Maybe some mating, you never know. We did catch a glimpse of their mating when we arrived. But they haven't moved again. That airstrip's probably nice and warm, so I'm assuming that is why they've decided to lie there. But how exciting is it that Tristan got to find Mvula? That is wonderful. And I've only seen that leopard once, so it looks like it's a great cat afternoon for us. Lions and leopard very soon into drive. That is really, really great. At least the lions do in fact hunt while they are mating. I mean, they do have to eat, especially if they've been together for a week. It's a long time to go without food. They will definitely mate. So I mean, not mate, hunt. They will hunt, and usually it's a female. If she sees something, perhaps an impala or something like that, she'll try and hunt. If the male is close by, he will help her bring down their prey, but they will indeed hunt while they are mating. Jared, we were discussing a little bit earlier when lions are mating, how long they mate for. It all depends. It's anywhere between 3 days to a week, and these lions will probably stay away from the pride for that period of time. So 3 days a week. Occasionally, if they're not really mating properly, it might be a day or two, and then the female probably heads back to the pride. But the maximum amount of time away from the pride is probably a week, 5 to 6 days. You can see that Lioness has got her head up and she's looking around. Remember I said earlier there was a lot of impala activity just on the edge of the thicket, and we can actually still see some of them moving behind them, straight behind them. There we go. There's still a lot of impala through there, but as I mentioned, it's highly unlikely for these lions to hunt, and that's why those impala don't feel threatened. And the reason for that is because they are so out in the open. They are completely exposed. There's no way that they would be able to hunt those impala now. The impala would see them coming, and they would definitely just move off and get away from the lions. So I'm still going to stay with these lions for a little bit of time and see what they get up to. Let's head back to Taylor and let's see if she's decided what she's going to do this afternoon. Tristan, I don't know if you meant that Dave and I are the romantic couple, or if the lions are the romantic couple. They haven't moved, everyone. They're still resting and conserving some energy. Every now and then the heads pop up, but I'm sure we are going to see some activity from them at some point. Now, there have been a few vultures that have been soaring around above them, and I think purely because they've seen the lions out in the open, so they're just having a look to see if there's any potential food. There goes one. It looked like hooded vultures, and off it goes again. You know what, Dave? I've actually seen one in the tree. I think that one's going to go and land. Oh, wow, well done, look at that. Great, there we go. 2 hooded vultures sitting in the tree, and a starling wanting to be a vulture. So their eyesight is incredible, and these vultures, when they do see predators lying out in the open like this, then they'll usually go and investigate to see is there potentially food to scavenge off of. But not in this case. It's just 2 lions lying out in the open enjoying this cool weather that we are having. Now, Taylor is being very brave this afternoon. She's found a rather large animal she'd like to show you that on foot, which is very exciting. Taylor, what are you trying to say about girls running away from boys? Oh dear. Anyway, we are still sitting with these lions. They haven't moved yet. I'm waiting very, very patiently, and as some of you know, I always say patience pays off in the bush. So I'm hoping that we do get some mating activity from these lions. And we'll see. We've got a beautiful view though from here. Lovely, just open clearings around us. And there's a lot of activity. I mean, those jackal settled down. They're still lying not far from us. The impala. There's a lapwing. It's a crowned lapwing. Quite a few lapwings out in these open areas. A crowned lapwing, and there seem to be some other ones off to our left. Let's just have a look just down here, Dave. Let's see. There's what is that? A ground scraper thrush. A little ground scraper thrush, that's nice. More crowned lapwings around. And there's also, just off to the left a little bit, and through there, sorry, just down there, Dave, down, sorry, on the ground there, and then that is a Senegal lapwing. So it's a different lapwing. The Senegal lapwing, the crowned lapwing, and the ground scraper thrush, all around here. So a lot of bird activity, which is great, some different birds. Oh, nice to see that ground scraper thrush. It's very peaceful here at the moment. I'm glad Taylor got to see those elephant on foot. That's always exciting, and I love that. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday, wherever you are, and enjoying the show with us. That sound that we can hear, that's the Senegal lapwing that we could hear calling. Okay, I'm going to sit with these lions a bit longer. Let's head back to Taylor with the elephant and see what is going on there. Signal there for a second, but he will be back shortly. He'll try and stick with Mvula. Dave and I are just doing some orientation around here and working out north and south and west, because I know James was out in this area the other day and he was looking at the rocky outcrops just off to our west or southwest, and I recognize that area very, very well because that is Londolozi. And to our southwest, and let's see if we can get that rocky outcrop. There it is. Now that is Shimpalapala, rocky outcrop on the northern section of Londolozi, and I've walked up there many times with guests. It's a beautiful view from up there, and then everything further south, and just directly behind that outcrop is Singita. So Singita is basically behind that, not too far from there. You can see those clearings in the background. That's all on Singita. And then Londolozi is to the south of that. It's amazing to see everything from these different properties. And the more time you spend out here, you get to know the areas a lot better. So it's great to see. These lions have not moved, everyone. They are still resting. And I did think they were cooler, but not just yet. That's okay. We're in no rush. Fortunately, we can sit here for quite some time. Doesn't sound like too many people are interested in the sighting for the moment. I'm sure a lot of people got to see them this morning, so they're looking for other animals now. But the patience does pay off, as we know. So we'll sit here for a while and see what they get up to. You can see those beautiful big paws of that male. And nice to see those big paws, and linking back to those tracks that we had earlier. Now, like I said, those tracks that we saw looked like they were possibly from yesterday or early this morning. So it may in fact have been this male that walked along the road and headed down onto the airstrip. Elizabeth, you want to know how long do the lion claws get? Now, the lion claws will probably, especially the dew claw. The dew claw is that very strong, powerful thumb claw, or the back claw, and that usually is the largest and most powerful. Now, a dew claw of a lion can probably get to a few centimeters, about that size, maybe a bit bigger. Very, very long, thick claw, probably about that thick and about that long, that I have seen. So they get but incredibly sharp. And then the other claws also fairly long, but very curved, sharp claws. So, yeah, that's about as long as they can get. I think Tristan has got some signal back. Let's head back to him and Mvula and see where that leopard is going. Dear, it looks like Tristan's having a lot of problems with the signal at the moment, but that's okay, don't worry. It just means you stuck with me for a little bit longer, everyone. I do apologize for that. And Dave and I are enjoying this sighting very much. It's so peaceful. It's really, really wonderful just to sit and watch these lions. And then if you have a look, actually, they're beautiful sun rays coming through the clouds at the moment. Let's see if we can get them for you a bit further left. It's a bit difficult on camera. There we go. There you see those sun rays. There, look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Lovely silhouette of the trees and the sun rays coming through. Birds chirping, the Senegal lapwings. I'm just scanning around the whole time just to see if anything else pops out, because you never know. What do you see? Ah, look at that. I wonder what that is. Is that perhaps a fire in the distance? I must be honest, it does look like a fire, Dave. I'm judging by the size of that, a bit of smoke coming up there. But I can tell you, let me just see. Judging by where it is coming from, that is just outside of the game reserve and in a community. So perhaps there's a building or something. The bush is far too green at the moment to be burning, so I think that is coming from a community outside of the game reserve. Perhaps something else is burning there, or maybe they are burning trash or garbage. Sometimes the best way to recycle certain garbage is to burn it. So that could potentially be that. I'm not sure, but that is definitely outside of the game reserve. It's a long way away from here, wow. But yeah, that's definitely just outside of the game reserve. So I think we're going to drive around a little bit on Arathusa. Let's see what else we can find. I'll return to the lions a bit later. Hopefully they do get active. Let's head across to Taylor, who's left the elephant, and see what she is walking into or walking around.